Greetings, fellow makers of paper things. I want to share this exciting project of mine with you, mostly for the techniques involved, because I think you could use them should you want to. So this is a pencil case, a traveling pencil case, very strong, very sturdy. Already, it's not done yet, but it's already strong in this stage, so I'm excited. It's a pencil case and pencil holder. You can split that in half or whatever proportion you want. One section is smaller to accommodate the smaller pencils. You can make it smaller still by putting a piece of sheet foam insert inside. In fact, I would probably do that because it's a good idea to prevent the leads from breaking if you have impact protection. There's a little pin of hardwood on the inside that matches this T-shaped opening, and then you twist. It's locked. It will not open unless you want it to. So I love it. I love this idea. What happened is I made a mistake. I made this ring out of the same material as the outside, which is those thick, strong cardboard tubes for posting things that are rolled up, like papers, like posters and such. Or sometimes they're the actual roll that holds the paper when you buy a roll of paper. So those are great. I collect them. You can make a lot of things with it. It's very strong stuff, as long as you cover it with something, because by itself, if you cut into it like I did here, it becomes a weak spot, and this little tooth area delaminated 3 times today, so it's kind of frustrating. So what I'll do is I'll peel it off. I'll completely remove the ring shape, which is about this wide, so there's a good glue area on the inside. It might be difficult to remove all of it, so I might actually have to start from scratch. We'll see. I might just use a power tool to sand it off or something. But I will replace this with a ring of plastic. If I can be, lucky enough to find exactly this size at the hardware store in black ABS plumbing pipe, that's what I'm going to use, because that stuff is super strong. It's a bit more heavy in terms of weight, but if you cut into it with a power tool, it's probably going to be super strong in this area. If I don't find that in black and in the same caliber that I want, then I'll just make my own ring out of Warbler. I'll just stack 3 layers of Warbler, because if you heat both surfaces really well, Warbler sticks to itself super well. So 3 layers of Warbler will be about this thick, maybe a bit thicker, and it will be strong enough for this. You can cut through it with tin snips. You can go back with some heat and a heated metal tool and then shape it as you will. You can go back and carve it with an X-Acto blade that you used on a flame or not. It's fantastic for this. And another advantage is you can always reshape it later on with more heat. So once you have a system like this, it locks. It's fantastic. Why am I showing this in a paper mache group? It's because it's a canvas. It's a 3D blank canvas. You can decorate this as much as you want. It's exciting. You can make it look, modern, or any kind of era, any kind of style you want, because cardboard, plywood, it's all compatible with paper mache. I would start with applying strips everywhere to merge the shapes together to have a nice base coat, and then I would go back and do some decorative textures, decorative elements, things you add on to it. I could sculpt with celluclay over the paper strips. If there's anywhere that runs the risk of eventually peeling off, then what I do is I add tiny pieces of coffee filters, and I mean tiny. The size of my pinky fingernail or smaller is not being paranoid, because those tiny pieces will not fight you. They will stay where you put them, and then you can merge a little raised area of maybe a little gargoyle head near the end or something. You don't want those ears to peel off and break off, so you want to blend them to the rest. So tiny pieces, smaller than this, will actually blend, especially if you do a crisscrossing. You do like at least 3 layers, 4 layers is better, and it will merge everything beautifully. It will never peel off. Then you prime the whole thing with a special sealer. It's a sealer primer I use. I use Bullseye 123 by Zinsser. You could also use BIN from the same company, which is a shellac based primer, but I prefer the Bullseye 123 because it's water based It's compatible with both paints in both cases. Both products are, compatible with oil paint and acrylic paint. So you have one primer for everything. So that's awesome. Anyways, you prime before you paint. Once your paint is perfectly dry, then you varnish. That's it. So this is a system that I really love. The plywood is glued onto the cardboard with wood glue. When it's dry, you just cut off the excess with a bandsaw, and you go back with a sanding machine. Like in this case, I used a belt sander, and I just rolled on it. I even gave it a little bit of a bevel because I like it. And the dowel here for the locking system is actually glued into a hole that's just slightly tighter than the size of the dowel. So you force the dowel in there, remove it, put a bit of glue on both, squish it back in, let it dry, cut off, finish with a sanding. So it's really strong. So here's a bonus piece of information. This could be used for a whole lot of things, like carrying brushes, carrying all sorts of tools. But it's also great for musical instruments. Like I was thinking as I was recording this a few takes ago, that wouldn't it be neat if I could open up my future models of rain sticks. If you don't know what a rain stick is, please look it up. It's going to be beautiful in your ears. It's a musical instrument that imitates rain or similar sounds. I've made a few. I love the sounds of them. It's a very soothing experience, not only for relaxing purposes, but for musical things. So I was thinking that one end of the rain stick could have an opening like this, and that would allow us to not only show people what's inside, but also empty it of all the fillers. That's what I call the loose particles that make the sound as they bounce on the obstacles. So all the little pins that are going in, whether they're bamboo skewers, popsicle sticks, or wooden dowels, or nails, or screws, or whatever you use. I don't recommend using nails or screws because that's really heavy. Because for something even this small, I would probably use at least 200 obstacles for something this small. If it was much bigger, I'd probably use 400 for this size. For longer, I could go with 600. So, yeah, think about that. Don't make it too heavy. Depending, of course, if you're going to keep it at home, it's fine. But if you're going to travel with it, make it as lightweight but as strong as possible. So you can actually show people what's inside, but you can also change the sound. Like someday you decide it sounds too icy. I want to put something deeper and more woodsy. I'm going to put some wooden bees in there, or maybe some popcorn. Actually, popcorn sounds more like icy, so maybe I'll use plastic pellets. So you try different things, and you're never stuck with any sound because it can open again. Like you can of course use a cork at the end, or there's also so many different kinds of closures you could go for. But it's just an idea that came to me, like wouldn't it be neat if I had a cap that can open and I could change the sounds. It's also probably a good idea if you're traveling abroad. Customs don't like people to bring food into their countries. In some countries, the US, Canada, they both have some special rules about that. Australia is said to be extremely strict about this. So if you have a musical instrument and they ask you what's inside, and it's popcorn or rice, they probably don't want you to bring it in. So you might just open it, empty it, and then you see it's empty now. So maybe they'll let you bring it in once there's no food in there. So thank you for watching. Just let us know if you create anything out of this idea or any of those. I'm really curious to see what other people would do with this, because that's what this group is about. Creativity and learning the ways to make those creative things happen. Thank you very much. Bye.